I took a solo trip to Austria. At first, I thought I knew what to expect. The sound of music, Mozart, and Hallstatt. But this trip challenged all of that. I quickly realized Austria had way more depth than I expected. From the unreal architecture, to the slower and more relaxed pace of life, to nature that somehow feels woven into everyday life. Even the public fountains had some of the best drinking water I've ever had.
That is so cold and tastes so fresh.
And funny enough, some of the places I expected to love the most weren't necessarily the ones that stayed with me.
I'm kinda underwhelmed.
And after a few days here, I realized I'd only scratched the surface. I started the morning exploring Mirabell Gardens, one of Salzburg's most famous spots. Between the perfectly kept gardens, mountain views in the distance, and the slower pace of the city, it honestly felt like a pretty great way to start the day.
Good morning, you guys. I'm here at Mirabell Gardens, and this place is so pretty. It feels so elegant and peaceful. Everything here is so colorful, vibrant, and I'm really loving the architecture and just the nature surrounding me. I'm also here at opening, so that really helps because there's literally no one here and it feels like I have the whole place to myself. I'm really enjoying myself out here so far. I am honestly just really impressed with this place. Like, this is very beautiful. I could only imagine, all these trees are barren right now. I could only imagine what it would look like when these trees are just, full of leaves and vibrant. I think it would just even enhance this already amazing place.
So one thing that's really surprised me about Mirabell Gardens is how you can go from this amazing, beautiful garden, and then as you keep walking, you run into this area with a bunch of dwarf statues. It's such a stark contrast from where I started, but I feel like it just adds more depth to the experience. I think out of all the dwarf statues here, I really like this one in particular, only because I think it's super silly. It's got like a chicken underneath its arm. Here's a dwarf statue. And then, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's got a chicken underneath its arm. As a tourist, visiting Mozart's birthplace honestly felt like a must for me.
I am here at the birthplace of Mozart. Let's go check it out.
And walking through the home where he once lived, it's pretty amazing thinking about how someone's creative work can leave behind a legacy that lasts years.
We have made it to Afro Coffee House. I've never had coffee like this before, so this is interesting. Apparently this is really strong. Wow, it tastes strong. That is very bitter, but I know I'm gonna feel it later and it's gonna power me through the rest of today. And I feel like this could be the cure for jet lag. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I got the shashuka, and it's basically like this poached egg in a tomato sauce, cooked in a skillet. I added some feta cheese, and I think there's some ham here as well. Not only does it look aesthetic, but it tastes pretty good. It's very flavorful. Oh. Now, I know that the meal that I got was not a traditional Austrian meal, like the mocha is a Turkish-style coffee, but it felt good to just slow down, enjoy a meal, catch a vibe, and just take in the atmosphere of the city. All right, guys, so I'm walking over to Hohensalzburg Fortress, and one of the things that I'm realizing is how much range this place has. It's super green. I'm walking through this forested area. There's amazing architecture just surrounding me, like the castle walls. And then just literally peeking behind are these Alpine mountains. I mean, just take a look at this. Like, you got the castle walls right there. And then I don't know if you could see it, but way over yonder, you could see those snow-capped mountains. So I was walking to Salzburg Fortress, but I made a quick pit stop because there is just this seated area where you have these amazing views of the mountains just in the back. Now, I don't think the video that I'm taking is gonna do it any justice, but just hanging out here, catching a vibe, and just admiring these mountains is part of the experience and is just making my time here far more enjoyable. You have this perfect mixture of just nature as well as this historic and beautiful city with its amazing architecture. All right, we made it inside of the fortress. First impressions, this place is massive. I feel so tiny being here. It's also a lot of hills. I'm walking up one as we speak. But overall, just an impressive place, which makes me curious what the views are like all the way up at the top. Okay, that's pretty amazing.
Seeing Salzburg from up there really gave me a different perspective of the city. At first, I associated Austria with Mozart and the sound of music, but places like this made me realize how much history and depth this country actually has.
Wandering around this fortress for the past few minutes, and there's no denying that this place is impressive. There's honestly amazing views up here, and there's a lot to do as well. But did you guys know that this place was actually built on salt money? You see, back in the day, they didn't have refrigerators, so they used salt to preserve food like meat and fish. It was a valuable resource and was often referred to as white gold. And Salzburg just happened to sit next to all of the major salt mines, so it became a hub for the resource. All the wealth gained from that salt, it was used to build this fortress. This fortress was built to protect their territory, political interest, wealth, as well as to remind people who was in control. So one of the things that I've noticed walking around the old town are the number of fountains. I was actually really curious, so I looked it up online. Is the water safe to drink? And turns out it's actually excellent quality. So only one way to find out, I'm gonna give it a try. All right, let's give this water a go. Ooh, that is so cold and tastes so fresh. Good morning, you guys. It is currently 5:20 in the morning, and I'm gonna be doing a day trip to Hallstatt. So I've based myself here in Salzburg, and I didn't rent a car. So to get to Hallstatt from Salzburg, you have to take a combination of a bus, a train, as well as a ferry. And the entire commute is about 3 hours long.
Hopefully have leftovers, so
So I guess depending on the season, there are different ways to get to Hallstatt. We took a bus, train, bus combo. I guess the original way to take it is a bus ferry. It dropped us off right within the village. Now we're walking a short way over to the iconic viewpoint. And there it is.
I was really excited to see Hallstatt after seeing it all over social media for years. With the lakeside views, alpine backdrop, and postcard perfect scenery, it almost looked too beautiful to be real.
Honest reaction, I'm kind of underwhelmed. I don't know why, but I feel like the photos look way better. I'm kind of underwhelmed. What are your reactions?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah?
It's okay. Yeah. I definitely think that if you've seen a picture of it, you probably have seen it all. And maybe it looks a little bit more, I don't know, romanticized in the photo. So, yeah, it's nice, but worth the 5 a.m. I don't know.
Yeah, it did take us about 3 hours to get here. I mean, there's no denying it's still pretty beautiful. Like, there's this beautiful lake right here. There's the snow-capped, mountains right there, and then, of course, the iconic church, but I am a little underwhelmed. I'm glad that it's not too busy right now,
It's very quiet, which
but,
is nice.
it's still worth the experience.
Now, don't get me wrong, Hallstatt was beautiful,
Surprisingly, it wasn't even that crowded when I visited, but for some reason, it just didn't connect with me as much as I expected it to. Cheers.
Cheers.
One regular cappuccino and
Mm.
Good?
Oh.
Yum.
one latte.
It's, oh no, not the berry. It's crunchy on the outside. It's like a custard filling on the inside.
Okay.
Powdered sugar,
Nice. I'm
and it's
eating
like
this.
very soft. 5-second rule.
Exactly.
The following day, I visited St. Gilgen and Wolfgangsee, and honestly, this ended up being one of my favorite parts of the trip. I'm here at the village of St. Gilgen, and I'm really amazed at how beautiful this place is. Like, just taking a look at the water, it's this mix of this clear turquoise as well as deep sapphire blue. And it's also so peaceful here. I've been walking by the lake for the past couple of minutes, and I've yet to run into anyone. I also just love hearing the birds chirping in the trees, the water just going up against the rocks. It feels just so peaceful, so serene. Now, it's almost noon, so I'm sure that some of the shops and the restaurants are gonna open up. I'm gonna head back into the main village and explore from there. All right, so I grabbed a coffee as well as a quick bite to eat, and I've just been wandering around for the past few minutes, and I'm really admiring the architecture out here. I don't think we have anything like this back at home, so it's really cool to just wander and see all this out here. Thank you. Being out on this ferry gives me a whole nother level of appreciation for this place. You know, back when I was at the shore, you felt this feeling of peace, this tranquility. But being on the ferry, you get a sense of scale for this place. You know, the rolling green hills, the wooden homes tucked into the landscape, everything just feels like it's in harmony with one another here. It started to get cold and windy, so I threw the cap and the windbreaker on. It's a 3-hour round trip ferry ride, but it doesn't even feel like that because I'm just enjoying my time out here. Everything felt slower, peaceful, and way more aligned with the kind of travel experiences I enjoy the most. It made me realize that sometimes the places you connect with most aren't always the ones you originally came for. And after a few days here, I realized this trip was never really about checking places off a list. It was about slowing down, staying curious, and discovering the parts of Austria I never expected to connect with most. Like, it's so pretty out here, and there's just so much to see, and this lake is so massive, it's crazy. Like, I don't think I've tired of this view for the past 3 hours. I know I'm just doing a loop around the same lake, but I find this very enjoyable. What a relaxing way to spend the last 3 hours of my time. Even with major things like the cable cars being closed, I just thought there was just so much to appreciate about this place. That wraps up my time here in Salzburg. From exploring the city to Hallstatt and slowing down at Wolfgangsee, it's been a solid few days. I'm gonna go grab some dinner, call it a night, and then our next stop is Vienna. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.